Sword Saint, after seeing Elizabeth's ear, wonders if she is from the elf race. Not only can she suppress me, a 5-star demon ancestor, with her aura, but she can also use advanced healing magic. Her identity must be special. Leping scratches his head and says, "Magic is indeed omnipotent. I'm envious." Sword Saint, really surprised after seeing the surroundings, says, "Mr. Leping, the place you live in is very unique. I have traveled to various places on this continent, but I have never seen such a style or such bizarre gadgets." She then asks Leping and Elizabeth if they have always been living here. Leping, after hearing this, replies that they have been living here for a while. However, Elizabeth, frustrated, asks Sword Saint, "Why do you have so many questions?" Sword Saint, after seeing both of them, wonders, these two people give off such different auras. One is very kind, and the other is very evil. The Dwarf King, Minister of Science of Aristotle, the Elders of the Elf Guild, and even Malfoy of the Dark Guild are said to be the strongest people on the continent. They are people who have communicated a lot with the Sword Saint Guild, but she really can't grasp these two standing in front of her. Elizabeth, angry, tells Sword Saint, "If you have nothing to do here, get out and don't dirty my home." Sword Saint gets confused and wonders what she means. Leping, after hearing this, tries to calm Elizabeth, explaining that Xiaobai was injured trying to eliminate the Dark Guild. "She's a guest who has come to our door. That's of no concern. I can clean it later." However, Elizabeth doesn't get happy with Leping's decision and says, "Do whatever you want." Sword Saint, after this, stands up and apologizes to both of them, saying, "I am really sorry for disturbing your peaceful time. I have to hunt that individual down quickly. Otherwise, the whole continent will be in danger." However, she wonders, that weapon spirit is even stronger than Malfoy. Could it be related to the Sea of Darkness? However, it doesn't matter because currently, no one else but she can stop them. After that, she tries to unleash her sword energy, but nothing happens. Everyone present in the room gets confused. Leping, after seeing her like this, asks, "What did you say just now?" Sword Saint tries again to unleash her sword chi technique, but she fails and becomes breathless. Sword Saint, confused, "Why is my mind completely blank? I can't remember a single sword form." Elizabeth, after seeing her, explains, "It's pretty simple. It's because your sword skills have been taken away by the impurities in your body. This is the price you have to pay for taking shortcuts to become stronger." Leping, confused, asks Elizabeth what she means by impurities. Sword Saint explains that, in order to break through and deal with the Dark Guild, she signed a contract with the Sea of Darkness. Leping asks, "What is the Sea of Darkness?" Elizabeth explains that it's nothing more than a bunch of dirty bugs who are somehow connected to us. Sword Saint agrees, saying that Elizabeth is right. "I wanted to take a shortcut and couldn't withstand the temptation. This is my fault." Leping, after seeing her, tries to comfort her, saying, "I don't understand this very well, but if you've forgotten it, we can try to learn together. I am also learning swordsmanship, and Xiaobai is a swordmaster. If you are willing to learn, you might be able to become stronger." Elizabeth, after hearing this, gets angry and says, "Hey, who allowed you to work with her? And when did I say I would aid her? Don't make decisions for me." Leping, scared, says, "I thought we all wanted to defeat the Dark Guild." However, he wonders, what's going on with Elizabeth? She seems to have become mean out of nowhere. Sword Saint, after hearing this, stands up from her seat and says, "No matter the case, I shouldn't bother you anymore." She thanks Elizabeth and Leping once again for rescuing her, and says she'll leave now. Leping asks her to wait, saying, "You must be hungry, right? I made you a bowl of noodles. Eat before leaving, okay?" Sword Saint, after seeing the bowl of noodles, starts crying, saying, "Thank you for your kindness, but I really can't eat right now. I have to come back to my senses." After saying this, she leaves Leping's house. Leping wishes her a safe travel, and warns her that there are a lot of dangers around. Meanwhile, Elizabeth gets the bowl of noodles and starts eating, saying, "She's sensible. This bowl of noodles belongs to me after all. Only I can eat it." Leping explains to Elizabeth that she ended up in this situation because she's fighting the Dark Guild. If that's the case, why don't you help her? However, Elizabeth doesn't care, saying, "If you want to help her, you can. Don't interrupt my meal." Meanwhile, outside of Leping's house, Sword Saint is meditating, trying to remember her sword chi technique. However, as she tries to remember, Demon Burial uses her chopping shoot technique against her. Sword Saint attempts to stop the attack with her 7-sword technique, but she fails and gets injured. Fortunately, she was wearing a lucky pendant, which helps her escape from Demon Burial's range and reappear at Leping's house, where a robot dog saves her life. After recalling everything, she realizes that if it wasn't for the lucky pendant, she would have fallen into quicksand thousands of miles away and would be dead. Disappointed, she wonders, "It was only one blow, and I lost completely. I thought I was at the peak of power on the continent, but it was all delusions. I shouldn't have let the sea of darkness strike me when I was weak. I was too arrogant. Meanwhile, Leping comes looking for her, and is really happy to see she didn't go far. He sits down with her and says, "Actually, I can understand you very well. Once, I had the chance to learn swordsmanship, but I was so obsessed with rural life that I didn't do it. Recently, I have been wanting to learn, but found out I have no talent. I want to have the power to defeat the Dark Guild." Sword Saint explains that he doesn't understand. "What I learned wasn't simple swordsmanship. It's the demon swordsmanship that I got by chance from ancient demon race ruins." Leping responds, "Although your swordsmanship is gone, your magic is still there, right? Maybe you can get stronger by changing your class. An uncle I know did it." Sword Saint explains, "Change my class? It's impossible for me. Losing my swordsmanship is equivalent to losing my life." Leping says, "As you can see, in the eyes of the universe, everything is so insignificant. Nothing is lost. We can start from scratch and work together." Meanwhile, Elizabeth is watching them with her advanced magic concealment. She is angry as she hears that Leping wants Sword Saint to work with them. Leping gets a small stick and says to Sword Saint, "This is what I recently learned, Tai Chi sword." Sword Saint, confused, asks, "What is Tai Chi sword?" Leping replies, "Yes, it should be considered a form of swordsmanship. There is no magic needed to use it. It cannot kill your enemy, but it cultivates the mind and nourishes the body. Do you want to try it together?" Meanwhile, Elizabeth, after hearing this, wonders if Leping will personally teach her, and if they will fall in love. She gets really angry thinking about this and shouts, "No way!" She shouts so loudly that Leping and Sword Saint hear her voice. Realizing there is no longer a point in hiding, she suddenly appears in front of Leping and Sword Saint. Leping, really happy to see Elizabeth, asks, "Hey, you showed up. Does that mean you want to help?" However, Elizabeth teases Leping, saying, "I can do whatever I want. It's none of your business." She asks Leping if he has forgotten their agreement. "Nothing in this house can be given to anyone without my permission." Leping explains that he didn't give her anything. She ate the noodles too. Elizabeth says, "Everything, and that includes you. Don't you know this already?" Leping agrees, saying, "I know you want to help, so whatever you say is fine." Then Elizabeth uses her space curtain and asks Sword Saint to come with her. Meanwhile, Leping smiles, thinking, Elizabeth has a sharp tongue, but a warm heart. When Sword Saint opens her eyes, she finds herself in Elizabeth's space domain. Surprised, she realizes that this is the space realm, achievable only by a demon king. Elizabeth tells Sword Saint that she is here to help her. Confused, Sword Saint asks how she plans to help her. Elizabeth explains that to help her, she must first completely destroy her. Elizabeth then starts attacking Sword Saint. Shocked, Sword Saint asks, "There's no enmity between us. Why do you want to kill me? She is a demon king. Even if my swordsmanship wasn't taken away, I might not be her match. First she saved me, and now she wants me dead. What is she trying to achieve?" Elizabeth uses her demonic hand technique to attack Sword Saint, saying, "Just stand still, and you'll suffer less." Sword Saint won't just stand by and let herself be killed. As Elizabeth attacks her, she does everything she can to dodge the attacks, using a special eye technique to see through them. But she can't dodge them all. She tells Elizabeth, "I am a peak 5-star demon ancestor after all. It's not that simple to accept my death and let you do it." Elizabeth doesn't care and says, "I have no time to speak nonsense with you," then attacks again. She gives Sword Saint no chance to dodge and captures her with her demonic hands. Frustrated, Sword Saint asks, "What on earth do you want to do to me? Let me go. Let me go." Elizabeth, seeing Sword Saint's distress, says, "Your mind has started to turn disorderly. If you lose your swordsmanship and continue to use that power, you won't be able to suppress it anymore. I am helping you uncover that hidden danger in advance." Sword Saint becomes angrier and tries to free herself from Elizabeth's demonic hands, but suddenly another hand approaches her. Elizabeth's demonic hand goes into Sword Saint's mouth and reaches her stomach. Sword Saint's eyes start turning black, and something begins to struggle inside her stomach. A dark sea creature is inside Sword Saint's stomach. Elizabeth is helping her extract the demonic creature. As Elizabeth extracts the demonic creature, she uses her demonic hand to remove it from Sword Saint's body. Afterward, Sword Saint begins to recover. Elizabeth, surprised, wonders how this demonic creature appeared in her plane. The demonic creature struggles, trying to escape from Elizabeth's grasp. Elizabeth asks the creature about its relation to the Dark Guild. The creature, in its dark, sinister form, tells Elizabeth that if it weren't for her, it would have taken over Sword Saint's body. Before it can finish speaking, Elizabeth kills it, saying, "It's not important." Meanwhile, Sword Saint's body starts changing. The demonic creature tries to take over her body, saying, "I reside in your body, and you can use me as a source of magic power that will aid you to break through to Demon King. But every time you show weakness, I can take something away from you. And if my body is destroyed, I'll use yours." The demonic creature accuses Elizabeth of knowing the content of the contract and calls her the shameless one who broke the promise. Elizabeth, remembering, realizes, it looks like something like this has happened before. 500 years ago, at the Demon Queen's cultivation ground, Elizabeth was striving to reach the Demon King level to fight against the hero. Suddenly, she heard a voice asking, "Do you want to get stronger? I can help you." Elizabeth asked him who he was and how he had entered her cultivation ground. He explained that he was the Lord of the Sea of Darkness, Azathoth. "How I entered doesn't matter. What matters is that I can help you get stronger," he said. Elizabeth asked Azathoth how he planned to help her get stronger. Azathoth explained that it was very simple. As long as she accepted his power and let him reside in her body, his chaotic force would help her reach the realm of the Demon King. She wouldn't have to fear the legendary hero. As Elizabeth considered accepting his power, a star-like pattern began appearing in her eyes. Azathoth tried to manipulate her into accepting his power, but he didn't expect that she wouldn't be easily convinced. Elizabeth grabbed Azathoth by the hand and said, "Who said I'm afraid of the legendary hero, you little bug from another space?" Azathoth realized that Elizabeth had used him to spy on his world. He explained bluntly, "As long as you let me reside in your body, my chaotic force will let you break through to Demon King instantly. Your power will be enough to completely suppress me. I can't threaten you at all." Elizabeth realized that Azathoth just wanted to wait for the legendary hero to meet her, and then take the chance to take everything from her. Was this his real purpose? Azathoth said to Elizabeth, "Even if you have only briefly touched upon my chaotic force, the contract has already been formed. If you reject it now, it'll be bad for you." Elizabeth explained that when she peeked into his world, she had already absorbed a good amount of that chaotic force. "That force is as barren as your world, suitable for bewitching the weak." After saying this, she threw Azathoth into a lava pool. Azathoth, surprised, asked, "What do you want to do to me?" He warned Elizabeth that the contract had been formed, and she would suffer a backlash if she did this. Elizabeth smiled and said, "I will seal you here, and then I will rely on my own power to break through to Demon King. Then, I will completely digest the absorbed chaotic force into my own power. Wouldn't that invalidate our contract?" As he was being sealed, he said, "You, Elizabeth, the shameless one." He realized that he was crushed the moment he arrived here. At present, Azathoth, who had taken over Sword Saint's body, said to Elizabeth, "Because of her, his true form cannot come out to this day. He can only rely on clones to move in this world." Elizabeth, standing without any worry, said, "I almost forgot about you." Azathoth, smiling, said, "Without a host, I couldn't show you my true strength. That's why you tricked me. But now, let me show you the terror of my chaotic force." Something started coming out from Sword Saint's body. Many hands emerged from her body, revealing Azathoth's chaotic form. He began forming something with his chaotic hands, and started smiling, saying, "The top-grade swordsmanship of that host I took away, combined with my chaotic force, makes my power unimaginable." He then used Chaotic Arrow of Destruction towards Elizabeth, declaring that he would kill her today.